afternoon. My name is Dave Burns, president of Midway Village Museum, and it's my privilege to introduce Tom Moe here, who is on the National Commission. He's the National Commissioner of the World War I Centennial Commemoration Commission. This is the group that's in charge of creating the new World War I Memorial in Washington, D.C., which will be at Pennsylvania Avenue and 14th Street. Tom is out here to observe what we're doing out here in Rockford, to learn more about what we're doing, so that in 2017, which will be the centennial of our involvement in World War I, everyone's going to be ready, and we're going to have a huge event, right? Right. Tom had a very distinguished career in the United States Air Force. He was an F-4 fighter pilot in Vietnam. He was shot down over North Vietnam, spent 5 years and 3 months as a guest of the North Vietnamese government, and went on to further his Air Force career after that. So without further ado, Tom Moe.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you all. Thanks so much for being here today, and let's give a really great round of applause for Dave Byrne, the Midway Village, and all these folks out here. They're going to do stuff for you today. Well, my personal thanks to the Midway Village Museum, and also to the Pritzker Museum in Chicago, who is one of the underwriting founders of what we're doing here today, and also the World War I Centennial Commission. And also your participation just by being here is a huge support. The World War I Centennial Commission was set up by Congress, and various numbers of us, there's 12 of us, were chosen to work for three main goals: to honor those who served in World War I, to remember what they did and commemorate what they did, and also to educate each other to that horrible time in world history when so many tens of thousands of people died on the battlefield, sometimes 10, 20,000 in the space of a few minutes. Modern weapons were not appreciated. We didn't learn anything from the mass carnage of the Civil War, and soldiers would go against each other and be mowed down. And it was horribly tragic. At the same time, there was a worldwide epidemic that was called the Spanish flu that actually killed more people around the world, including millions in the U.S., than died on the battlefield of World War I. But as I said, one of our goals is to educate people about World War I, because we are suffering the consequences of that war today. The fighting that's going on in the Middle East is a direct result of how borders were carved up, regardless of ethnic lines, national interests, and so forth. And World War II, actually, was just World War I Part 2, because nothing was resolved in that terrible carnage. But that takes nothing away from the sacrifice that was made by the men and women in those days, not an ounce. And so we honor and commemorate them by doing things like what we're witnessing today, and always remembering them in our hearts as well. So once again, my thanks to the Midway Village Museum, to the Pritzker Military Museum and Library in Chicago, and to every single one of you for coming out here. And I know you really appreciate next year we're going to have heated bleachers, right? Okay, maybe not. Thanks again, and God bless.
Okay, thanks for coming out today, folks. Where you're at right now is the Western Front, 1916. The war's been going on for 2 years. It's broken into a trench stalemate. The Allies have been pooling their resources for months. And in 1916, in the afternoon, they decided that they're going to pool all their forces at one section on the Western Front and try to break the stalemate of World War I. So what we're going to do today is a little snapshot of what that warfare was like on the Western Front. The officers have sounded the whistle. The first wave is coming out. The Germans are opening their fire. Now they're opening fire in the midfield. The Germans are opening up all the fire. First afternoon or so, 60,000 soldiers died throughout. The first wave was falling. Orders have been given to bring the troops back. First attempt by the British failed. At this time, the artillery would be called in from the rear. The German lines would be opening up. As you can see, the Germans have seized an opportunity. Some of the units are doing counterattack, trying to seize an opportunity to help the lines. The Germans, too, failed in their counterattack. German officers are giving more orders. The troops seize the opportunity. They're pulling back, trying to advance. Now the British are seizing their opportunity to get back. As you can see, it was no better for the Germans. The orders of the British High Command passed down an unrelentless attack. The Battle of the Somme continued for months. As you can see, the medics are going out and retrieving wounded off the battlefield. We have a priest who jumped in to help out retrieving the wounded. Now at this time, they're using poison gas, as discussed earlier. The British are dumping poison gas all over the German lines. They're prepping for their next offensive. The soldiers are donning their gas masks. The German field of view has been obscured. Soon you will see the final wave going for the attack. The officer is preparing to give the order. Phase 2. Orders beginning to keep the troops moving. It's difficult seeing the gas mask. Lenses are fogging up, the troops are trying to move, but at the same time, the Germans are having the same difficulty in taking their shots. Additional waves are advancing. Artillery is covering the advance of the British troops. They're bounding and fire teams across the battlefield. The officers are driving the men towards the German lines. The officer is given the command to fall back. The second wave was unsuccessful. This battle went on for months and months. Tens of thousands of soldiers were killed by the hour. The weather started to turn, and it turned into a muddy quagmire. The troops fought in these conditions for months on end. This is just a short sample of what it was like on the Western Front. We're trying to live to tell the history of what happened 100 years ago. Thank you, everybody, for coming out today.